Hey, I'm Corwin, and today we're going to fix the timing in the Cadillac. So one thing that's been happening, I probably haven't mentioned it because I haven't really been driving it a lot. If I run it for a while and it builds up heat, motor warms up, shut the key off, it keeps running. It'll sputter for another couple of strokes. Obviously, that's not good or safe, so I've got a bunch of stuff here that hopefully will alleviate. Number one, throttle return spring, the one that's in it now, old and kind of janky, so we'll fix that. Two, new plugs. We'll throw all these in and make sure they're gapped. New plug wires. Some of the ones in there have seen better days. And then, I just had it, oh here it is. New timing tab, because there's actually not one on it right now. I'll show you guys later. And then we'll hook up this bad boy, pew pew, and make sure it's good to go. First things first, I want to get this tab on and the return spring for the throttle. Look at this guy. It's like loose and janky, and it's hooked up here, which is fine. The throttle, it snaps back, but I just really want to double check and make sure that it's closing all the way when I let off the throttle. Okay, so this guy comes in and sits on top of that front stud, and then there's another hole right there on the back of the carburetor that it slots into. Weird thing about this, there is this little set screw right here. I took it out and it looks like it actually has a function, so I'm just gonna drill an extra hole in this plate to go around it, and then double check that the smaller hole is big enough. Pull this, well, I may not even need to pull that nut off. Anyway, I'll get this on there. Okay, so two things you can learn from me. One, measure twice, cut once. I completely missed my mark on that. And also, always go to Elliott's. I didn't have a 24 thread nut to go on the end of this stud, so I thought I'd run up to Ace's, and they didn't have it, so that was awful. I ended up having to spend 35 cents on a grade 8 bolt just to hold this thing still. Anyway, now we can move on to hooking up the linkage here, which is going to be a little tricky. Okay, so typically the kit wants you to take this piece, bend this tab out of the way, slot it in here, and then run the springs from here to here. I'm not sure that that's gonna work because obviously the throttle is occupying this hole. So what I'm gonna try to do is run them both. You can see there's a little bit of play in this. I think that I can tighten that up with this stuff too. But I'm just gonna noodle with this and see if I can't make it all work together without having to find a different throttle solution. First thing, I gotta take this off. This will actually help because this is kind of janky setup to begin with. God, I said that twice now. It doesn't bode well for the rest of this video. Oh, shit. Okay. Alright. Alright, I'm gonna have to kill this mosquito. Okay, so the only thing I don't know is if this guy will, yeah, it's not gonna reach all the way through. Alright, let me see. Get mosquito! I'm gonna end up back at Elliott's, aren't I? Alright, we're gonna do some hot rodding. That was one of the most successful trips to Elliott's I think I've ever had. I swear, those guys need to start sponsoring me. So this is the one that was on the car. I grabbed two options. One, they actually had a rod end with a longer little bit on it. I don't think it's long enough though. So I grabbed this guy, which will thread on the end, and then a couple of bolts and a nylock here, in which I can make it all work with this stuff. I don't know how I'm gonna hold all this stuff and get it on there at the same time, but let's start with the shorter one. So bolt, and then this guy with a spacer, then regular spacer, if you can see. Uh-oh, what did I just drop? Oh God. Oh, I see. Okay. It's like this. You dingus. Yeah, that's way better. Okay, okay, alright, alright, alright. Okay, let me see if I can show this. So bolt, and then throttle cable linkage here, and then the two spacers on either side of this piece so it can pivot, and then the spacer that eats up the actual part on the carburetor, and then the nut on the end. So I went in the car and worked it, and it feels really nice. I put the heavier springs on this, and it snaps back really taut. So that's good. So now that I'm comfortable with that, I need to get this guy on. Let me show you the one that's on there right now. So I, by hand, rolled the motor over till I found the top dead center mark on the balancer, which you can see right there. And then that mark is all there is. So considering I'm no expert, I'm gonna throw this other timing tab on just to hopefully get myself closer to the ballpark. It looks like, if you look at those marks on either side of top dead center, somebody marked the balancer, but given the, I don't even know what you'd call it, they look like shit. Okay, never mind. That timing mark is cast into the timing cover, and the top bolt is protruded about 1/2 inch, so you can see the bracket on this guy is straight across for a typical timing cover, and so this will not work. And at this particular point in time, I will not be removing the water pump and the balancer and all that stuff just to replace the timing cover to get a mark on it. So my timing light does have an advance on the end of it, so I'm gonna set it to 0 just to start, see if I can't get a reading and see if I can't deduce what those other marks mean. I'm guessing 10 degrees either way, which will be fine. The spec sheet on this motor says 32 total. Let's see if I can't get it started, fire it up, and just see where it is, and go from there. I shocked the absolute shit out of myself twice. The weird thing is I lost my mark. It was running fine, and then it quit showing a mark, so I'm gonna keep fiddling with it. Okay, the reason the mark was gone is because it was so far out. So I advanced it a ton. It's right at that mark, 12 degrees. It's idling a lot better, but I'm gonna put the gauge back on it, see if, fine tune it. Okay, well, that seems to have fixed it. It sounds really good too. So I still want to replace the plugs and the wires. Also, I definitely have an exhaust leak, and it really burns your eyes. But I'm gonna let everything just like cool down for a minute because now it's blazing hot. But I think that was a success. Not that it really matters, but you can see some of these plug wires have seen better days. Where's the one? Yeah, look at this. This one's like only half there. And then one of these, most of these boots are cracked, which is not ideal. And then you can just see all the scorch marks and grease on all these things. Honestly, I don't even think some of them were really making a good connection, because a lot of them just slid right off. They didn't even, you know, they weren't crimped on there. Look, that's like burned. Golly, look at that thing. Anyway, I'm glad I swapped these out. Okay, I do want to run it just for a split second just to make sure that everything still works. But it's getting kind of late. It's almost 9 o'clock and I kind of live in a neighborhood full of gray hairs, so last thing I need is one of them coming down on me for messing with the car. So I'm just gonna fire it up, make sure it's good to go, and then I think I'm gonna call it a night. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but it kind of sounded like one of them was missing, so I don't know. I'm just gonna check all the wires and then come back again another day.
Hey, Chris.
Morning.
You know, something strange happened to me this morning.
Was it a dream where you see yourself standing in sort of sun god robes on a pyramid with 1,000 naked women screaming and throwing little pickles at you?
No.
Why am I the only person that has that dream?
So last night I thought I had everything done, and I don't know, for some reason I just couldn't sleep and it was just nagging at me. So I came back out here today, readjusted the wires, checked the timing again, went through the paces, accidentally lit my timing light on fire, had to go buy another one. But I think we're in a really good spot. Got everything tucked up nicely over here, off the headers. Down this side it's a little more messy, but should be good. All this stuff looks great and it's super smooth and snaps all the way back, so I feel really good about that too. I'm worried now that really the carburetor is just, I went through it once, but it sat for so long, I'm wondering if it needs to get like, what do they call it? You know, supersonic deep cleaned, which I don't really have the stuff to do here, so I don't really want to get another one because they're like $400. I adjusted the choke a little bit and blew out the idle mixture screw holes. I don't know, I just feel like I'm still leaving a little bit on the table when it's at idle, but I really need to just take it around the block and let it run through the gears and it should be good to go. Really happy with how everything turned out, except for getting shocked all those times. But yeah, I think there's a car show coming up, so I'm gonna try to make that, and that'll be really fun. And then just a couple more maintenance things and she'll be good to go down the road. So until next time.